Have you ever bumped into a table and apologized to the table? Like you barely tapped it with your hip and your mouth automatically goes, sorry. As if that IKEA nightstand has feelings and you just offended its ancestors. Or you send a message and 2 seconds later you're typing, sorry for the late reply, even though it's been 12 minutes. You ask a normal question and preface it with, sorry, quick question. You walk past someone in a hallway and whisper, sorry, like you're asking permission to exist in the same oxygen. If you over-apologize, you already know it's not about manners. It's reflex. It's your nervous system handing out peace offerings like it's trying to prevent a war that isn't even happening. And the common assumption is that people who apologize a lot are just polite, or shy, or insecure, or too nice. But psychologically, over-apologizing is rarely just about being nice. It's usually about safety. It's about managing discomfort, yours and everyone else's. It's about shrinking yourself preemptively so nobody has to react to you. It's about trying to control the emotional temperature of the room by constantly sprinkling sorry like emotional air freshener. So let me show you what might actually be happening inside your brain when you apologize too much, even when you didn't do anything wrong. Because if this is you, you're not broken, you're not weak, you're not dramatic, you're adapted. And that adaptation probably has a story. Picture a normal moment. Someone looks slightly annoyed. You don't even know if it's about you. It could be traffic. It could be hunger. It could be their own brain. But your mind instantly goes, it's me. I did something. And before you can even think, you say, sorry. That is the core experience of the over-apologizer, a heightened sensitivity to social friction. Your nervous system treats friction like danger. Like if the vibe shifts, you need to fix it immediately. This connects to something psychologists call rejection sensitivity, the tendency to strongly react to the possibility of being disliked, criticized, or excluded. If you have high rejection sensitivity, small cues feel big. A shorter reply, a neutral face, a pause, a sigh. Your brain reads those like warning signs. It's not because you're irrational, it's because your brain has learned that subtle shifts matter. And over-apologizing becomes a fast strategy to reduce that threat. It's like tossing a sandbag in front of a door the second you hear thunder. Now, where does this come from? Sometimes it's personality. Some people are naturally more agreeable, more harmony-oriented, more emotionally tuned in. They hate conflict the way some people hate loud chewing. It's just unbearable. But often, over-apologizing is learned. Imagine growing up in an environment where conflict wasn't safe, where mistakes led to big reactions, where someone's mood could turn unpredictable, where being in trouble didn't just mean consequences, it meant emotional chaos. In a home like that, kids become little peacekeepers. They learn to monitor the room, to soften themselves, to anticipate reactions, to apologize quickly because it's easier than being misunderstood. Sorry becomes a shield. And it's not always because a parent was cruel. Sometimes parents were just stressed, overwhelmed, busy, and you could feel it. Kids are insanely good at reading stress, so you learn to be low maintenance, to not add to the load, to be easy. And you got praised for it. People said, you're so mature, you're so considerate, you're such a good kid. But the hidden message becomes, my value is tied to not causing problems. So as an adult, you apologize for everything, your needs, your questions, your presence, because you learned that being harmless equals being lovable. Now, there's also a people-pleasing angle here. Over-apologizing isn't just about admitting fault, it's about managing other people's emotions. If someone looks uncomfortable, you apologize. If someone is quiet, you apologize. If you think you might have inconvenienced someone, you apologize. And what you're really doing is trying to keep connection stable. You're basically saying, please don't be mad, please don't pull away, please don't change your energy. Because for the over-apologizer, other people's disappointment can feel like a cliff edge, even when it's minor. That's why the body reacts. You might feel it in your chest, your stomach, your throat, that little internal flinch when you think someone might be upset with you. Your nervous system isn't responding to logic. It's responding to perceived social danger. Now let's talk neuroscience for a second, but in a way that won't make your brain yawn. Your brain has threat detection systems. When something feels socially risky, judgment, conflict, rejection, your amygdala and related networks can activate, nudging you into protective behaviors. Fight, flight, freeze. And there's another one people forget. Fawn. Appease. Smooth things over. Be agreeable. Over-apologizing can be a fawn response in casual clothing. It's your body trying to prevent conflict by becoming small and safe. And if you've ever felt yourself apologizing while a part of you watches like, why am I saying this? That's because your survival brain grabbed the steering wheel. It's not trying to embarrass you, it's trying to protect you, but here's the cost. Over-apologizing can quietly erode your sense of self. Because if you constantly apologize, you're constantly implying you did something wrong, even when you didn't, even when you're just taking up space, even when you're just being human. And your brain hears your words. Your brain learns from your language. If you say sorry 50 times a day, your nervous system starts to treat your existence like a disruption. That's heavy. It can also change how people treat you, not always, but sometimes. Because constant apologizing sends a signal, I'm lower status here. It invites people to take up more space while you shrink, and then you end up resentful, exhausted, quietly angry that you're always the one bending. Now, here's a common trap. People confuse apology with politeness, but they're not the same thing. A healthy apology is a repair. It's for when you actually did something that needs repair. Over-apologizing is not repair. It's pre-repair. It's apologizing for a crime that hasn't happened. Sometimes for a crime that doesn't even exist. I like apologizing for asking a question, or needing clarification, or having emotions, or being late by 1 minute, or having an opinion. That's not kindness. That's self-erasure disguised as kindness. And the irony is, a lot of over-apologizers are genuinely kind people. They care, they're considerate, they're thoughtful. But the sorry habit isn't always kindness. Sometimes it's fear. So how do you soften it without becoming cold? Because you don't want to become the person who never says sorry. That's a different problem. You just want your apologies to be real, clean, powerful, meaningful, not automatic. Here's a gentle shift. Replace sorry with thank you when you're not actually at fault. Instead of sorry I'm late, you can say thanks for waiting. Instead of sorry for the long message, you can say, oh, thanks for reading. Instead of sorry, quick question, you can say quick question. It sounds small, but it changes the emotional posture. Sorry makes you smaller. Thank you keeps you equal. Another shift is learning to tolerate micro discomfort. Because over-apologizing is often an attempt to remove discomfort instantly. You sense awkwardness and you rush to patch it. But you can train your nervous system to let small, awkward moments exist without panicking. Silence doesn't always mean danger. A neutral face doesn't always mean disapproval. Someone's mood doesn't always belong to you. That's the deeper lesson. And this is where the philosophical undertone comes in. Over-apologizing is often a relationship with worth. If you feel worthy only when you're easy, your apologies become proof that you're good. But you don't have to earn your right to exist by being endlessly apologetic. You're allowed to take up space without submitting a formal apology to the universe every time you breathe. Now, I want to add one more layer because it matters. Sometimes over-apologizing is a sign of empathy, not insecurity. Some people apologize because they can feel other people's discomfort. They feel responsible for harmony. They want everyone to be okay. That impulse is beautiful, but it becomes unhealthy when you become the only one responsible for harmony. Because relationships are shared, rooms are shared, emotional weather is shared. You can be kind without carrying the whole room on your shoulders. So if you over-apologize, and here's the reframe, your nervous system is not too much. It's protective. It learned that smoothness equals safety. It learned that conflict equals risk. It learned that being small prevents backlash. That's not weakness, that's adaptation. And adaptation can be updated. You can keep your kindness and lose the fear. You can keep your empathy and lose the self-erasure. You can learn to apologize when it's true and speak plainly when it's not. So tell me in the comments, what do you apologize for the most? Asking questions, taking time, having needs, being in the way, or just existing in public spaces? And if you've worked on it, what helped you stop? Subscribe if you want more psychology videos that turn "Why am I like this?" into "Oh, that's why." Because your habits aren't random. They're your nervous system trying to keep you safe, and you can teach it a new way to live.